Zyn is not a new invention. Its roots actually stretch back 500 years to a product called Swedish snus. This old tobacco product was once just a regional curiosity, but it holds the key to understanding Zyn's modern success. Back in the 1500s, Swedish farmers would mix tobacco with salt and water, then place it behind their lip. This was snus, a practice that quietly continued for centuries. When health warnings began to impact cigarette sales in the 1960s, many Swedes turned to snus as an alternative. But there was a problem: women would not touch the product. It was brown, moist, and had a strong smell. So the big question became, how do you make this old-school addiction cool for a new generation? This brings us to the next chapter in our story. So how did this ancient Swedish tradition transform into a multi-billion-dollar global phenomenon? It all started with a pharmaceutical scientist named Thomas Ericsson. Ericsson spent decades trying to solve one problem: how to deliver nicotine without the social stigma. He saw products like Nicotine gum fail because users did not want to feel like patients. They wanted a choice, a lifestyle product. By the late 2000s, he figured it out: a white, tobacco-free nicotine pouch. Swedish Match bought the patent, launching Zyn in 2014. For 5 years, Zyn remained a niche product. Then, in 2019, it went national, and its growth was explosive. Podcasters and Wall Street traders embraced it. By 2022, Philip Morris International paid $16 billion for Swedish Match. Zyn became the #1 nicotine pouch brand globally, generating over $2 billion annually. Its growth is still accelerating, and it's a wild ride. But to truly understand Zyn's triumph, we need to look at a very different story. We just saw Zyn's meteoric rise, but its success is even more striking when you compare it to Juul's spectacular collapse. Both were nicotine delivery systems, both promised harm reduction, and both grew explosively. But they took completely different paths. Juul launched in 2015, targeting everyone with a sleek design and influencer marketing. Teenagers started using it at alarming rates. The FDA and lawsuits followed, which collapsed Juul's valuation by 97%. Zyn, however, took a completely different approach. They focused on professionals, specifically men between 30 and 50 years old, not teenagers. Their distribution was through boring retail, not social media hype. They positioned Zyn as a tobacco product, leveraging the regulatory experience of Philip Morris. And crucially, Zyn is discreet, there is no visible vapor and no smell. The target audience for Juul, which was teenagers, triggered regulatory alarm bells. Zyn's target audience of professionals has not, at least not yet. This leads us to the uncomfortable truth about Zyn's success. This brings us to the uncomfortable truth. Zyn thrives because it delivers addiction discreetly and professionally. You can be hooked on nicotine without anyone ever knowing. That is the core feature, and it is working perfectly. But this very feature could become a huge liability. While youth adoption is still low, it is growing fast. The discretion that appeals to professionals also makes it invisible to parents and teachers. If Zyn follows Juul's trajectory, a youth addiction crisis could emerge. Then there is the health question. We simply do not know the long-term effects of daily nicotine pouch use. We know that nicotine raises heart rate and blood pressure, but the cardiovascular effects over time are unknown. And the FDA could change its mind, just like it did with Juul. Juul thought they were unstoppable. Zyn is learning from Juul's mistakes, but you cannot build a sustainable business on addiction forever. Eventually, someone will care. The question is not if Zyn will face headwinds, but when. And whether Philip Morris has learned enough to navigate what is coming. Zyn is the evolution of addiction, designed to survive. If you found this analysis valuable, hit that subscribe button and like the video. Every week on Business Undercurrent, we pull back the curtain on how industries really work. See you in the next one.